Imagine this. You wake up one morning in a palace. Gold walls, marble floors, cars lined up outside that cost more than entire neighborhoods. You have servants waiting for your command, a bank account that never runs dry, and every luxury money can buy. And yet, inside, there's a silence, a hollow echo in your chest that whispers, "Is this all?" You thought money would fill the emptiness, but instead, the silence grows louder. This is the truth no one wants to admit. Without God, money is empty. Napoleon Hill, in Think and Grow Rich, spoke about desire, persistence, and the power of the subconscious mind. But he never separated wealth from faith. And faith, my friend, is not just believing in yourself. It is also believing in a higher power, a divine source that gives meaning to all things. You can pile up billions, but if God is not at the center, those billions will feel like ashes in your hands. Think about the richest people in the world who still fall into depression, who still feel alone, who still search for something more. Why? Because money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy peace. It can buy pleasure, but it cannot buy purpose. Without God, money is just paper. It glitters for a moment, then fades. With God, money becomes a tool, a blessing, a force for transformation. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But here's the hidden layer. What your mind conceives must be aligned with what God has designed. Otherwise, you can achieve everything the world praises, yet lose everything your soul longs for. Let's dive deeper. History is filled with stories of kings and emperors who had wealth beyond imagination, yet they died miserable, paranoid, and lonely. They built empires but lost themselves. Why? Because money alone cannot satisfy the hunger of the soul. The human spirit is wired for more than luxury. You can eat the finest food, live in mansions, travel the world, but inside the spirit asks, "What is my purpose? Why am I here?" And purpose cannot be bought with money. It is a gift that comes only from God. Napoleon Hill described money as only one form of riches. He wrote about true riches being love, harmony, peace of mind, sound health, and spiritual connection. Money is powerful, but without God, it becomes a trap. You start chasing more, thinking the next car, the next house, the next deal will make you happy. But happiness keeps running away because happiness without God is like trying to drink from an empty cup. Look around at celebrities and billionaires who confess they feel lost, even at the top. They overdose, they break down, they confess loneliness in interviews. Why? Because when money becomes your only God, it betrays you. It promises joy, but delivers emptiness. Napoleon Hill's truth is this: the foundation of wealth must be spiritual first, material second. If you reverse it, if you put money first and forget God, you will never taste fulfillment, only endless hunger. Now here's the real secret. All wealth originates from God. Think about it. Who gave you your mind? Who gave you your energy, your creativity, your ability to dream and act? You didn't create yourself. You didn't design your brain. You didn't control the heartbeat that's keeping you alive as you listen to this. That power is divine. That power is God. Money, then, is not yours. It is a trust. It is God's resource flowing through your life. When you recognize this, everything changes. You stop chasing money desperately, and instead you attract it naturally, because you are aligned with the source of abundance. Napoleon Hill believed that when you have faith, unseen forces move in your favor. But faith in what? Faith in God, the ultimate supplier of opportunities, connections, and wealth. Without acknowledging God, you take credit for everything, and pride blinds you. With God, you see clearly that money is just energy, a servant, a means to fulfill a divine purpose. And here lies the paradox. When you put God first, money follows. But when you put money first, God withdraws and emptiness follows. Wealth created through alignment with God carries peace, joy, and fulfillment. You don't just make money, you make meaning. You don't just build fortune, you build legacy. Faith gives money meaning. You can hold a stack of cash in your hand, but without belief, without the invisible force of faith, it is nothing more than colored paper. People often think faith is only about religion, but Napoleon Hill reminded us that faith is a state of mind, the foundation of every success. And when that faith is rooted in God, money suddenly transforms from just currency into a tool of destiny. The truth is, money responds to energy. It is drawn to belief. If you believe money is evil, it will run from you. If you believe money is scarce, it will hide from you. But if you believe money is a blessing from God, a resource given to you for a higher purpose, then it flows toward you. Think of the farmer. He plants seeds because he has faith that rain will come, that the earth will respond, that God's cycle of nature will reward his work. Without faith, he would never plant a single seed. That is the same with wealth. You cannot attract it, multiply it, or sustain it without believing that God is the giver of abundance, and that your work is simply aligning with his law. Napoleon Hill emphasized autosuggestion and the power of repeated belief. But what gives those words power is when they are spoken with faith that God himself is behind them. Words without faith are just noise, but words with faith in God move mountains, shift circumstances, and even bend the flow of money in your favor. But faith alone is not enough. Money tests character. This is where many people fail. You see, anyone can make money, but the real question is, what does money make you? Without God, riches corrupt. They inflate the ego, they make you arrogant, they trap you in greed. But with God, money humbles you. It becomes a tool to serve others, to elevate communities, to create impact that stretches beyond your lifetime. This is why so many who achieve riches without God eventually fall. They gain the world but lose their soul. Their money controls them instead of them controlling their money. When God is at the center, however, wealth becomes a responsibility, not just a reward. It is not about how much you can hoard, but how much good you can do. Money becomes a magnifier of your character. If you are selfish, money will expose it. If you are generous, money will amplify it. That is why God must be the foundation, because without him, money magnifies emptiness. With him, money magnifies purpose. Think about it. The world praises billionaires who donate fortunes to hospitals, schools, charities, and foundations. Why do we admire them? Because deep down, we know money is most powerful when it serves beyond the self. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But what gives achievement meaning is when it is aligned with service. Service is God's language of wealth. Money finds its highest value when it becomes an instrument of giving, healing, building, and creating a better world. Every dollar you earn is a test. Will you let it control you, or will you let God guide it? Will you let it make you proud, or will you use it to stay humble? Will you let it separate you from people? So here's the Napoleon Hill truth no one dares to say out loud. Money without God is worthless, but money with God is powerful beyond measure. One destroys you, the other elevates you. One makes you empty, the other makes you abundant. Ask yourself today, are you chasing money or are you walking with God? Because the answers to that question will determine not just the size of your bank account, but the state of your soul, or connect you deeper to humanity. These are the questions that reveal whether your wealth is a blessing or a curse. And here is the unspoken truth. God does not bless money for the sake of money. He blesses money that has purpose. If your desire for wealth is rooted in greed, you may achieve some success, but it will eventually collapse. If your desire for wealth is rooted in faith and service, it becomes unstoppable. Faith gives money its meaning, and character determines its destiny. That is the Napoleon Hill truth most people miss. Money is not the end goal. Money is the mirror. It reflects who you really are inside. If you are lost without God, money will expose it. If you are aligned with God, money will extend it. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, do you have money or does money have you? Do you serve God with your wealth or do you serve wealth as your God? Because the answer will decide everything. Faith brings the money, but godly character decides whether you keep it, grow it, and use it for a legacy that outlives you. Money without faith in God becomes a curse. Money with faith in God becomes a calling. And when you reach that realization, you don't just become rich, you become truly wealthy. With God, however, money becomes disciplined. It is managed with wisdom. It is multiplied with patience. It is directed with vision. It is given with generosity. Money with God does not control you. You control it. And this is where true freedom lies. Wealth is never about the numbers in your account. It is about whether you are a master of money or a servant to it. The greatest tragedy is to gain the world and lose your soul. We see this all the time. People who rise to the top of industries, who appear untouchable in their success, but behind the curtain they are broken, restless, addicted, or empty. Why? Because they chased wealth without God, and wealth without God always leads to loss. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually the emptiness catches up. Money becomes meaningless when it is not connected to a higher power. Napoleon Hill's formula was clear: desire, faith, persistence, imagination, decision, organized planning. But what energizes this formula is God. Without Him, these are just steps. With Him, they are a force of creation. When God breathes into your desire, it becomes vision. When He anchors your faith, it becomes unshakable. When He fuels your persistence, obstacles turn into stepping stones. When He guides your imagination, you see opportunities others are blind to. When He strengthens your decisions, you do not hesitate. And when He blesses your plans, doors open that no man can close. That is the difference between riches that fade and wealth that lasts. Ask yourself, what are you building and who are you building it with? If your answer is only for myself, then your foundation is weak. But if your answer is with God, for a purpose greater than myself, then your foundation is unshakable. Because legacy without God crumbles, but legacy with God becomes eternal. There is a reason people with billions still feel empty. They forgot that money without God is powerless. They forgot that wealth without legacy is wasted. And they forgot that riches without purpose are nothing more than glittering dust. But those who walk with God know that every dollar is not just a dollar, it is a seed. And when seeds are planted with God's blessing, they grow into trees that shelter generations. So let this truth sink into your spirit. Money without God is dangerous, but money with God is destiny. Wealth without God corrupts, but wealth with God creates. Riches without God enslave, but riches with God set you free. You were not created to chase money. You were created to serve God, and when you serve Him, nay, chases you. That is not a promise of luxury alone, it is a promise of legacy, because when you align with God, your wealth becomes more than numbers, more than fame, more than status. True success is never about what you keep. It is about what you create and what you leave behind. A man may gather mountains of gold, but if that gold dies with him, if it ends in his bank account or locked inside his vault, then it carries no meaning beyond his lifetime. Legacy is the true measure of wealth, and legacy only comes when money is built on God's foundation. Napoleon Hill reminded us that riches are never just about cash. They are about impact. They are about influence. They are about the imprint you leave on this earth. With God at the center, every coin you earn, every deal you make, every fortune you build is connected to a larger vision that outlives you. Think of history's greatest leaders and builders. We don't remember them simply for their wealth. We remember them for the hospitals they built, the schools they funded, the opportunities they created, and the lives they touched. Their money was not just currency, it was legacy. And legacy cannot be forged without God, because only God gives you the vision to see beyond yourself. Money without God shrinks to selfishness, but money with God expands to generations. When you understand this, your entire perspective shifts. You stop asking, how much can I earn? And you start asking, how far can this wealth reach? How many lives can it touch? How can this outlive me? And that is when God steps in and multiplies what you have. Because God does not just bless wealth for personal luxury, He blesses wealth that carries His purpose. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized that faith and desire must be backed by definite purpose. A purpose tied only to yourself is weak, but a purpose tied to God is unbreakable. A man with purpose from God cannot be stopped because his wealth becomes more than money. It becomes a mission. And when wealth is a mission, it creates a ripple effect that lasts far beyond your life. Time. That is the power of legacy. But let us not forget, wealth is also a test. And here is the hard truth. Wealth without God is dangerous. Money is not evil, but it is a mirror, and what it reflects depends on the heart that holds it. Without God, money magnifies greed, pride, and arrogance. It becomes a chain that binds you to your ego. It makes you a slave to the endless chase for more. Napoleon Hill warned that desire without discipline leads to destruction, and discipline without God is weak. You may control your habits for a season, but eventually pride or fear takes over. Every great fortune begins not with money, but with vision. And vision is not something you invent. It is something you receive. God plants it in your heart. He whispers it into your imagination. He shows you a picture of a future that seems impossible, yet undeniable. That picture is more powerful than any bank balance, more valuable than any treasure, because vision is the seed of destiny. Money may build houses, but vision builds empires. Money may buy comfort, but vision creates change. And here is the truth most people miss. When God gives vision, money always follows. Think of the innovators, the leaders, the builders throughout history. The greatest breakthroughs were not born from money, they were born from vision. The Wright brothers had no fortune, but they had vision, and today we fly across the skies. Henry Ford had no riches when he dreamed of an affordable car for every family, but his vision attracted the resources, the partners, and the money to make it real. Even Napoleon Hill himself was not a man of extraordinary wealth when he began, but he had a vision to unlock the secrets of success and share them with the world. That vision pulled money, people, and opportunities into his path. This is God's order. He does not give money first, he gives vision first, because money without vision is wasted, but vision with money is multiplied. God will show you the idea, the dream, the mission, and then he will test your faith.